There comes a year when you know it's the last. You don't say it out loud, not to your wife, not to your kids, not even to yourself in the quiet of night, but you feel it in your bones. The ground doesn't give the way it used to. The tools wear thinner, and the numbers, the damned numbers, never add up anymore. That was the year for us, the year of our last harvest. We planted in April. The soil was still cold, still clotted with the memory of frost. My boy followed me out with a bucket, scattering seed the old way. His hands were too small for the weight. He looked up at me, proud, like he was carrying the whole future in his palms. Across the fence, Agricorp cedars rolled smooth, still arms unfolding like insect legs. They covered more ground in an hour than we could in a week. They had perfect depth and perfect spacing. We worked crooked rows with bent backs. They worked flawless lines with machines that never tired. It doesn't matter, I told myself, wiping sweat from my brow. Seed is seed. Soil is soil. But deep down, I knew better. My wife carried water out in jars, filling the boy's cup, pressing her hand onto my shoulder as if to remind me I wasn't alone. Our daughter knelt in the dirt, patting the soil over the seed like it was a secret she was tucking into bed. For a moment, I let myself believe that it still mattered. That maybe, if we worked hard enough, we could coax one more year from the earth. But over the fence, I heard the hum of the engines. The future was already planted. It was already guaranteed. Spring slid into summer, the days stretching long, hot, endless. We checked the rows each morning. Thin stalks pushed through the dirt, green and fragile, bending with the slightest wind. My daughter whispered encouragements to them like they could hear her. The weeds came back too. We pulled them by hand, our backs aching, the sweat stinging our eyes. Across the fence, a sprayer drone glided low, misting chemicals in a silver haze. Not a weed in sight on their side. At night, my wife rubbed her hands raw with ointment. "How long can we keep doing this?" she whispered. "As long as we have to," I answered. But even as I said it, I felt the lie burning in my throat. One July evening, the sky went black. Thunder rolled in, and lightning split the horizon, and rain came down in sheets. We rushed to the fields, desperate to shore up what we could. The wind flattened half of the rows, the rain washing gullies through the soil. My boy cried as he tried to stand the stalks back up with his hands. On the other side of the fence, Agricorp's machines hunkered down, retracting arms. Their sensors were blinking. Their drainage ditches carried water away in neat channels. Their crops were standing tall and unbothered. By the next morning, half of our wheat field was ruined. Theirs looked untouched and gleaming in the sun. That night at the supper table, voices cracked. "We can't do this again," my wife said, tears slipping into her food. "The kids deserve better than this." They deserve to know where they come from, I shot back. This land raised us, and it can raise them. She slammed her fist against the table. The dishes rattled. It's killing us, she finally screamed out. The kid sat frozen, wide-eyed, and caught up between us. Then silence followed. It was heavy and unbroken. By September, what was left was ready. We brought out the old combine. It was coughing and groaning and rattling like bones, but it ate through the stalks, although it was slow and clumsy. We had to stop every half hour to clear jams, or to patch belts, or just simply to cool the engine. Across the fence, AgriCorp's combines rolled sleek and quiet, cutting through acres in minutes. Grain poured into hoppers. It was spotless and efficient. We hauled ours in burlap sacks, loading them by hand. Each bag felt heavier than the last, though the yield was less than half of what it used to be. The kids tried to help, their small arms straining under the weight. My wife's hands blistered, blood seeping through her gloves. And still we pushed on, because what else could we do? One night I just sat on the porch, watching the corporate fields glow under floodlights. The machines hummed, harvesting without a pause. My wife came out, wrapping a blanket tight around her shoulders. "They'll take it all, won't they?" she whispered. I nodded, staring at the endless golden rows. All of it. We sat there in silence for a while, just listening to the hum. It was a lullaby for the land, but a death song for us. When it was done, we hauled what little we had into town. The buyer barely glanced at it. He ran his scanner over the sacks and frowned at the numbers. "The quality's low, the moisture's high, and the price is down this month," he said. I clenched my fists. "It's all we've got." He just shrugged. AgriCorp brought in 100 times this. It's cleaner, cheaper. I'll give you half. Half for a year's worth of work. I wanted to shout at him. I wanted to slam my fists into his desk, but my wife's hand found mine. She was squeezing hard. We just took the money. What else could we do? On the way home, my daughter stared out the truck window. Everybody was silent. Finally, she asked, "Daddy, why do we keep trying?" I opened my mouth, searching for words, but none came. And after a long silence, I said the only thing I could, "Because it's ours." But even as I spoke, I felt the weight of the lie pressing down on me. That night, we ate bread from our own wheat. The kids chewed it slowly, savoring every bite. My wife just sat there quiet, her eyes far away. I looked around that table, at the faces I loved, at the home that had held us for generations. And I knew it was the last time we'd taste bread from our own soil. The machines across the fence hummed all night, never stopping, never faltering, and our fields lay silent. That was the year of our last harvest, the year we bent our backs, blistered our hands, and bled into the soil, and still came up short. We fought the ocean with a bucket. We fought machines that never slept, never wept, and never wondered how to buy boots for their children. And we lost. The land no longer needed us. It only needed the machines. And when the last stalk fell, when the last sack was sold, when the last loaf was eaten, I knew. We weren't farmers anymore. We were ghosts, haunting the fields that didn't remember our names.